You've planned a quick pit stop to charge your EV, but instead of speeding off, you're left staring at the charger as minutes tick by. Why do those ultra-fast chargers never seem as fast as promised? The answer might surprise you. Let's find out why. Picture this, you're on a road trip, your EV is running low, and you pull in a charging station hoping for a quick stop before hitting the road again. The station boasts a lightning-fast 350 kilowatt charging capability, but instead of a quick recharge, you're left waiting far longer than expected. Why does this happen? When most people think of charging an electric vehicle, they expect it to be similar to filling up a gas tank. You plug in and the electricity flows just like gasoline. However, the reality of charging is much more complex. Unlike a gas pump, which delivers fuel to a constant rate, an EV charger's speed depends on several different factors. These factors include the battery's state of charge, the temperature of both battery and the environment, the charger's power output, and even the local electric grid. Each of these can affect how fast or slow an EV charges, meaning that the speed advertised on the charger is rarely the speed of that driver's actual experience. To better understand this, think of charging an EV battery like filling up a sponge with water. At first, the dry sponge absorbs water quickly, but as it gets wetter, the absorption rate slows down. Similarly, an EV battery charges rapidly when it's nearly empty but slows down as it's filling up, especially once it passes 80% of its capacity. This happens because the battery management system in the car is designed to protect the battery cells from overheating. As the battery gets closer to full, the charging rate decreases to prevent damage. This is why a charger from 0 to 80% can happen relatively quickly, but that final 20% often takes much longer. Even when charging from 0% though, there are other factors that can slow down the process. Not all EVs are designed to take advantage of the fastest charging speeds available. For example, while a charger might be rated for 350 kilowatt, most EVs on the market today can't handle that much power. In fact, only a few high-end models like Tesla Model S or the Porsche Taycan can charge at a speed above 200 kilowatt. Many EVs are limited to their onboard charging systems, which cap the amount of power they can accept. So even if you pull up to a high-speed charger, your car might only draw 100 kilowatt or less, depending on its design. This often leads to confusion when drivers expect a rapid charge but don't realize their vehicle isn't equipped to handle a maximum charging rate. But it's not just the car itself that impacts charging speed. Environmental conditions play a huge role in how quickly an EV can charge. Cold weather, in particular, can slow down charging significantly. This is because lithium-ion batteries, which power most EVs, are sensitive to temperature. In cold conditions, the chemical reaction inside the battery slows down, making it harder for the car to accept a charge. On the flip side, extreme heat can also cause problems. When a battery gets too hot, the car's thermal management system will automatically slow down the charging process to prevent overheating. So, if you're charging on a freezing winter morning or during the heat of summer, don't be surprised if your charging session takes longer than expected. The image displays a bar chart comparing the recharge rates of various electric vehicles based on how many miles can be added in 20 minutes of charging. The charging stations themselves also contribute to slower than advertised speeds. Public charging stations, especially in busy areas, often split their power between multiple vehicles. This means that if you're sharing a station with another car, the power available to each vehicle might be reduced. For instance, a charger rated for 150 kilowatt might only deliver half that amount if another car is plugged in nearby. Charging networks do this to accommodate more cars, but it also means the individual drivers gets less power than they expect. Imagine turning on a hose to full blast. If someone else taps into the same water line, the pressure decreases. This is similar to how power sharing at public EV charger works. The local electric grid is another factor that can limit charging speed. On hot days, when the demand of electricity is high due to the air conditioners running at full blast, a charging station might not be able to pull as much power from the grid as it normally would. In some cases, the chargers themselves can overheat, which causes them to slow down to prevent damage. These real-world limitations, like temperature fluctuations, shared power, and grid strain, often prevents even the most advanced EV chargers from delivering on their promise of ultra-fast charging. Despite these limitations, the United States is making progress when it comes to public charging infrastructure. According to Bloomberg NEF, about 17% of public chargers in the US are rated for 100 kilowatt or more, which is higher than any other countries. For example, only 10% of public chargers in the UK offer 100 kilowatt or more, and in the Netherlands, that number is just 2%. The image displays a bar chart titled US Public Charging Cords, which compares the growth in the number of public charging cords for electric vehicles in the United States over 4 years, 2021 to 2024. Still, this doesn't mean that US drivers are satisfied with charging experience. A JD Power survey of EV owners ranked public charging speeds near the bottom of several categories, indicating that many drivers find their current infrastructure lacking. Take the example of Tesla's supercharger network, often touted as one of the most advanced fast charging systems in the world. despite the high speeds advertised, up to 250 kilowatt. Real-world data tells a different story. A study of over 100,000 charging sessions found that the average speed was just 90 kilowatt, less than half of what drivers were expecting. Similarly, a report by Stable Auto showed that in 2022, public chargers in the US offers 100 kilowatt or more only delivered an average of 52 kilowatt. This discrepancy between the advertised and the actual speed is a source of frustration for many EV drivers, especially those new to electric vehicles. They often don't realize how much factors like battery chemistry, environmental conditions, and power sharing can affect their charging experience. But it's not all bad news. The future of fast charging looks promising, with many charging networks and automakers investing in better infrastructure and technology. Electrify America, for instance, is expanding its network of high-speed chargers, capable of delivering up to 350 kilowatt. These new stations should help elevate the issue of power sharing between vehicles and reduce the likelihood of slow charges. Automakers are also focusing on improving charging times in the latest EV models. As new technologies are developed, drivers can expect faster and more reliable charging in the coming years. That said, it's still important for current EV drivers to manage their expectations and plan ahead to avoid charging delays. Many experienced EV enthusiasts recommend route planning apps to check for available charging stations and real-time data. Apps like PlugShare allows users to see what stations are nearby, how fast they are, and whether other drivers have good experiences with them. Taking a few extra minutes to plan before a trip can save a lot of frustration later on, especially if planned charging station ends up being slower than expected. One thing is clear, while the technology behind EV charging is improving, there's still a gap between the speed that are promised and the speed that drivers actually get. Much of this comes down to how EVs are designed. The battery management system in an EV, which controls how much power the battery can safely accept, plays a crucial role in determining charging speed. If the BMS detects that the battery is too hot, too cold, or too full, it will slow down the charge to protect the battery's health. This means that even the fastest charger won't be able to deliver its full power all the time. Similarly, public charging stations have their own limitations, such as power sharing between cars and fluctuations in local grid's capacity. So, what does the future hold for EV charging? Advances in technology such as solid-state batteries could revolutionize charging times by offering high capacity and faster charging capabilities. But for now, drivers need to understand that while fast chargers exist, they are still constrained by the vehicle's design, environmental conditions, and the limitation of charging network. Managing expectations and staying informed can help make the EV charging experience smoother, even if it isn't always as fast as advertised. In conclusion, while EV chargers might not always deliver the lightning-fast speeds advertised, there is a reason to be optimistic about the future. As more investments are made in charging infrastructures and as automakers continue to improve their vehicles' charging capabilities, the gap between advertised and real-world charging speeds should start to close. However, for the time being, drivers must be aware of the factors that can slow down charging and be prepared for occasional delays. Planning ahead, using apps to find the best chargers, and being patient can make a big difference in navigating today's electric roads. Curious about how to make the most of your EV charging experience and avoid unnecessary delays? Hit that like and subscribe button to stay tuned for more insider tips on maximizing charging efficiency and keeping up with the latest EV advancements.